Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montevilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Pfaff Ambition 610. In this video, I'm going to show you how to wind your bobbin and thread your machine. To start with, when you change your thread in your machine, cut the thread up here by the spool and pull the thread out at the needle. Also, make sure that your presser foot is up. Now, this is important. You want to make sure and cut your thread up here because you don't want to be pulling your thread backwards out of your machine. If you do that, the thread is going opposite from the way it normally goes, which is towards the needle. And that can cause lint to build up in the tension discs here. Okay. So to start with, there's a little picture right here that shows you which way to put your thread on. So you want to have your thread coming from underneath like that, as opposed to from the top. So from underneath. That's because the thread needs to spiral off the end, and you'll get fewer kinks if you have it coming from underneath. So we put that on the spool pin. Put your spool cap on. The spool cap is there to keep the spool from sliding off. I like to give it a little bit of room so that that spool can spin if it wants to. These cross-wound spools, especially as they get low on thread, tend to want to rotate a little bit. So having that spool cap, a little bit of slack there is good. Okay, now for bobbin winding, you go under here like that. Then you come around this hook right here, in front of that hook right there, and this time, right now, I'm going to hang on to this thread a little bit right here as I go under this little disc. That's a spring-loaded disc, which is going to get a little bit of tension as it's winding the bobbin. And then you take your bobbin. This is a class 15 plastic bobbin. This is really important to use only these kind of bobbins. You get several of these that come with your machine, but only class 15 plastic bobbins. And then we put the thread from inside to outside through one of the holes that's in the side of the bobbin, and the bobbin's the same on both sides. Put this on the spindle, making sure that your thread tail is up like that. And then we push this over to the right. Bobbin winding on, that's what this means. Push your start-stop button, hanging onto that thread, and give it several wraps before you stop and trim that little thread tail off. It's important to have several wraps because that way the wraps of thread seal and grab onto that thread tail at the beginning, so that way it will just stay right there in the center of the bobbin. Then you can just continue winding your bobbin for however much you want to wind it. There is a little stopper over here on the side. It looks like a kind of a crescent moon piece of plastic there, and that the thread, as it winds on the bobbin, will press against that, pushing the spindle back. So it's a way to kind of keep the thread from overwinding. It automatically stops the winding process. But if you only want a little bit of thread, just pull that back. That message turns off, and then you've got a thread cutter right up here. Okay, to put your bobbin in, I'm going to take the other one out and show you how to put this one in. When you put your bobbin in, make sure the thread is coming onto the left-hand side. It looks like the letter P. Think Pfaff, the letter P. So put that right down there. And that's important to make sure that it threads into the correct guides. So next we want to have this coming underneath that little plastic leaf. Stop it from spinning and pull it backwards. When you pull it that way, it helps it sink down into the tension area. There's a little tension area on your bobbin case, just like you have tension on your top thread. They both work together. And then pull this around that little pathway and onto the right. If you look carefully, you'll see there's a little blade right here. So that cuts off that thread. You do not need to pull up your thread through the needle plate. This is all you need to do to set your bobbin. And let's put that lid right back on there. Okay, so for threading the top thread, again, we come right underneath there like that, but this time we go around to the left, following these little arrows, and then come down here. Again, I like to hang on to my top thread as I'm coming around the take-up lever. Push that towards the back, and you hear that little click, and then pull it forward. the tension, or the take-up lever, is the thing that you often see on sewing machines, the part that goes up and down. That helps complete the stitch. So that's an important part, but in here it's kind of inside, and you can see where it is. The take-up lever, when you thread it, it has a little, you don't really need to see it, but I'll just explain. It has a little thing that helps keep the thread into the take-up lever. So that's why I gave it a little bit of uphill tension as I pulled it back. And you can see it's into the take-up lever right there. Then we come down here. There's a needle bar thread guide right there. I'm going to use 2 fingers to put that on there. Now, here comes the fun part. So we're going to thread that needle. Now, if you've used your hand wheel and your needle's in a little bit different position, do your needle down, needle up, to make sure that needle is all the way in the up position. Then we go underneath this hook here, press the needle threader down, swivel it forward, pull your thread over here, right into that little fork, and then hold it lightly with your right hand in an upward angle like that. Then let it swivel back, and there's that little loop of thread. I'm going to take a pin, grab a hold of that, keeps my fingers away from the needle, and there we have threaded that needle. So put your thread underneath the foot like that, and you're ready to sew. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have, give us a thumbs up. And if you have comments or questions, you can leave those in the area down below. We have lots of other videos on this machine and other machines here at Montevilla Sewing Center, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.